What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another very exciting video. In this video, we're going to talk about Jack Ma. So there's been some interesting information really over the past 3 years that we've seen out of Jack Ma. He disappeared for a period of time, and then he's popped up just randomly around the world, and no one's really known what's going on with him. And now we have some relatively exciting news and what could be really good news for Alibaba stock in terms of, what Jack Ma is doing, his involvement in China, and his involvement in the business overall. So if you enjoy the video, make sure you drop a like down below, and if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. So overall, the stock was up over 2% here today, almost actually 3%, and I don't think much of that had to do with this Jack Ma news. I think this Jack Ma situation is going to have a longer term effect on the stock, but here today, the market was relatively strong, and Alibaba obviously bounced with the rest of the market, but right now we are sitting at this $120 price point, and if we look over the last year, we can see this $120 price point has been a continued spot of resistance. So we really want to see Alibaba get up to this point and, kind of hover around this range. We've seen it over the last couple weeks kind of bounce between 110 and 120, but we really need to see it start kind of breaking through and establish support on the other side of this. And if we actually zoom out a little further, the next price point would be somewhere around 175, and then we kind of want to see it get above, the 210 range. So there's a few different price points in there, but really we need to start seeing, Alibaba get somewhere and bounce kind of between that 120 to 130 range and really establish a lot of support in that range. That'll be a big positive for the stock. Here's the article that we're going to be taking a look at in this video. So after spending time in Japan and briefly appearing in Thailand, Jack Ma now resurfaces in Hong Kong, where he is reportedly meeting with financial execs. And this is important for a number of reasons, but the biggest reason being that Jack Ma for the last few years has been basically extradited from China. It hasn't been anything official, but he has ran away and disappeared from the scene, not spent a whole lot of time in China, and he's popped up just various places around the world. And now the fact that he has actually gone back to China shows that there is potentially some mending of the relationship between Jack Ma and the Chinese government. And if you aren't aware, Jack Ma is the co-founder and former executive chairman of Alibaba Group. And as of January of 2023, he has a net worth of $34 billion and is the fifth wealthiest person in China. And originally, Jack Ma left China after giving a speech that criticized the Chinese government. And this came around the time he was trying to IPO one of his companies called Ant Group. So Ant Group is a payment company kind of similar to PayPal, and it was going to be IPO'd back in 2020. But after he gave this speech, the Chinese government stepped in and actually shut down the IPO. And since then, the Chinese government has had a huge crackdown on tech. So they have continued to crack down on these tech companies like Ant Group, refusing to allow them to IPO, also Tencent, Alibaba, and a lot of these other companies that have already IPO'd, they have issued fines against to basically try and limit the power of a lot of these businesses. And what has recently happened is Jack Ma has actually stepped in and given up control of Ant Group. So this prevents any one shareholder from having a controlling vote over the company, and that is exactly what China likes to see. They do not want to see these big large investors having control over the Chinese economy, having control over a large number of jobs, and basically gaining more power than the government. The government in China wants to be the all-saying and all-powerful being that basically has control over all the people, all the money in the country, and, basically promoting common prosperity is what they claim throughout China. With Jack Ma actually returning to China and specifically Hong Kong, that could be absolutely huge for the tech industry within China. And obviously Alibaba is one of those companies that would benefit massively. So with him returning, obviously that shows that there's a little bit more trust now from the Chinese government and from Jack Ma in the Chinese government. With him spending the last 2 years basically traveling the world to different countries like the US, Israel, Thailand, Japan, it kind of shows that he is avoiding and trying to spend as little time in China as possible. And now with him returning and actually meeting with financial leaders and people within the government, that is going to be huge in basically promoting, the tech industry within China. And we've talked about this before. China has been put in a very bad position over the last 6 months. Their real estate industry has crashed in a massive way. And honestly, promoting a lot of jobs and increasing, the amount of investments that a lot of these big tech companies can make make throughout China is going to help stimulate job growth, help stimulate their economy in general, and also help boost their real estate industry. Overall, I don't believe that this is going to be a huge catalyst that's going to send the stock up, in a large way over the next few weeks. I think it's more of a slow burner. I think it's something that, over the long term, having Jack Ma back in China, bringing different viewpoints. He has obviously spent a lot of time traveling the world. He spent a lot of time in the US, Israel, Japan, and all of those economies, have seen different financial struggles, have gone through different time periods, and a lot of that gained perspective can be brought back to China and really help influence, how the Chinese government actually looks at their tech industry, and hopefully change the perspective from a very negative one to a more positive one of collaboration. So I think, again, over the long term, this is going to be a positive thing, but keep in mind, I am a shareholder of Alibaba. I am bullish on the stock. I think that it's got a lot of potential moving forward, and obviously a lot of, concern with the Chinese government, but I think this is an indicator that they are starting to ease some of their policies. So overall, again, all my opinion, make sure you are doing your own financial, looking into these companies on your own, looking through their finances on your own, and don't just take the word from some random guy on the internet like me. So I do appreciate you watching the video. If you did like the video, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. And as always, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day.